Hey everyone, Dr. Hubert Wright here, and today we're diving deep into something that honestly changed how I approach blood sugar management with my patients. We're talking about 5 powerful foods that can start working on your A1C faster than you might think. We're talking days, not months. Now, before we jump in, I want you to forget everything you've heard about needing a perfect diet or some restrictive meal plan that makes you miserable. That's not what this is about. This is about smart, strategic choices that actually work with your body, not against it. So, let's get into it. The truth about A1C and daily choices. Here's what most people don't realize. Your A1C doesn't just sit there waiting for 3 months to magically change. Every single meal you eat is either pushing that number up or pulling it down. The problem is, we've been conditioned to think we need to wait for the next lab test to see if anything's working. But your body, it's responding to what you're eating right now, today. I've seen patients drop their A1C by half a point or more in just 6 to 8 weeks using this approach. Not because they went on some crazy diet, but because they understood which foods to prioritize and, just as importantly, how to eat them. So, let's break down these 5 foods and why they're absolute game changers. Food number 1. Leafy greens. I know. You've heard about eating your greens a million times, but stick with me here because there's a specific reason they're at the top of this list, and it's not just because they're healthy. Leafy greens like spinach, kale, arugula, collard greens, Swiss chard, these aren't just low in carbs. They're packed with fiber that literally slows down how fast glucose gets absorbed into your bloodstream. Think of fiber as a speed bump for sugar. Without it, glucose races into your blood and your pancreas has to scramble to keep up. With it, everything moves more smoothly. But here's the kicker. Leafy greens are also loaded with magnesium, and magnesium is absolutely critical for insulin sensitivity. If you're deficient in magnesium, and a lot of people are, your cells can't respond to insulin properly, even if you're making enough of it. So you're fighting an uphill battle from the start. Now, here's what I tell my patients. Don't just add a sad little side salad to your dinner. Make greens a foundational part of every single meal, including breakfast. Yeah, breakfast. Sauté some spinach with your eggs. Throw kale into a smoothie. Mix arugula into your omelet. When greens become non-negotiable, your blood sugar thanks you for it. And here's a pro tip. Eat your greens early in the meal, not at the end. We'll talk more about meal sequencing in a bit, but trust me, the order matters. Food number 2. Eggs. All right, let's talk about eggs, because there's been so much confusion around them over the years. Are they good? Are they bad? Will they raise your cholesterol? Here's what you need to know. Eggs are one of the most blood sugar-friendly foods you can eat. They're packed with high-quality protein and healthy fats, and they have virtually zero impact on your glucose levels. Zero. That's huge. But it gets better. When you eat eggs earlier in the day, especially at breakfast, they actually help blunt glucose spikes from meals you eat later. We call this the second meal effect, and it's backed by solid research. Think about it. If you start your day with a bowl of cereal or a bagel, your blood sugar spikes hard, your insulin surges, and you're on a roller coaster for the rest of the day. But if you start with eggs, you're setting yourself up for stable energy and better glucose control all day long. Plus, eggs keep you full. They help with appetite control, so you're less likely to reach for snacks that spike your blood sugar between meals, and they're incredibly versatile. Hard-boiled eggs are perfect for grab and go. Scrambled, poached, fried in a little olive oil, however you like them. I've got patients who keep a batch of hard-boiled eggs in the fridge at all times. It's their secret weapon, quick protein, zero prep, and it keeps their glucose steady. Before we continue. Hey, if you're finding this helpful so far, do me a favor. hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps me reach more people who need this information. And if you know someone who's struggling with their blood sugar or A1C, share this with them. Knowledge is power, and we're just getting started here. Food number 3, fatty fish. Now we're getting into one of my absolute favorites, fatty fish. We're talking salmon, sardines, mackerel, herring, and trout. These fish are loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA, and these are powerful anti-inflammatory compounds that directly improve how your body handles insulin. Here's the deal. Chronic inflammation messes with insulin signaling. When your cells are inflamed, they don't respond to insulin properly, and your blood sugar stays elevated. Omega-3s from fatty fish calm that inflammation down and essentially make your cells more receptive to insulin. It's like clearing the static off a radio signal. Suddenly, everything works better. Research consistently shows that people who eat fatty fish 2 to 3 times a week have better glucose control and lower A1C levels compared to people who don't. And we're not talking about fancy, expensive sushi-grade fish here. Canned sardines, canned salmon, these work just as well, and they're affordable and convenient. If you're not used to eating fish, start small. Maybe once a week, then work your way up. Grill some salmon with lemon and garlic. Toss sardines into a salad. Make a simple tuna or salmon salad with avocado and greens. Your A1C will thank you, and honestly, your brain and heart will too. Food number 4, fermented foods. All right, this one surprises a lot of people, but fermented foods are incredibly powerful for blood sugar control, and here's why. Your gut microbiome, those trillions of bacteria living in your digestive system, plays a massive role in how your body handles glucose. When your gut bacteria are out of balance, it can lead to insulin resistance, inflammation, and poor glucose metabolism. But when you feed those good bacteria with fermented foods, everything starts to improve. We're talking about foods like kimchi, sauerkraut, miso, tempeh, kefir, unsweetened yogurt, and pickles that are naturally fermented, not just soaked in vinegar. These foods are packed with probiotics, live beneficial bacteria, and they help restore balance in your gut. Studies have shown that people who regularly consume fermented foods have better insulin sensitivity and lower fasting glucose levels. Now, here's the important part. You've got to use real, unsweetened fermented foods. A lot of commercial yogurts are loaded with sugar, which completely defeats the purpose. Read labels. Look for live and active cultures on yogurt. For sauerkraut and kimchi, check that they're in the refrigerated section and made through fermentation, not just vinegar. You don't need a ton. Just a few tablespoons of sauerkraut or kimchi with your meal, or a serving of plain Greek yogurt or kefir. Small amounts used consistently make a real difference. Food number 5, resistant starch. Okay, now we're getting to the wild card, resistant starch. This is a type of carbohydrate that, unlike regular starch, doesn't get digested in your small intestine. Instead, it travels down to your colon where it feeds your beneficial gut bacteria, kind of like fertilizer for your microbiome. The best sources? Legumes. We're talking lentils, black beans, chickpeas, kidney beans, split peas, navy beans. All of these are packed with resistant starch. And here's what makes them so powerful. They slow digestion, they blunt glucose spikes, and they keep you full for hours. But, and this is a big but, portion size and timing matter. You can't just load up a giant bowl of beans and expect your blood sugar to stay stable. We're talking controlled portions here, roughly a quarter to a half cup for most people, maybe up to a cup if you're pairing it with plenty of greens and protein in a larger meal. And here's the secret, eat your resistant starch last. Not first, last. We'll get into meal sequencing in just a second, but when you eat starches at the end of your meal, after protein and fiber, the glucose spike is way smaller than if you ate them first. So think of legumes as a supporting player, not the main event. Add lentils to a soup that's packed with greens and chicken. Have a side of black beans after you've eaten your salmon and veggies. It's all about strategy. Putting it all together. The meal sequence that changes everything. All right, here's where it all comes together. And honestly, this is the part that makes the biggest difference for my patients. It's not just what you eat, it's the order you eat it in. Here's the sequence. Protein first, greens second, fermented foods third, resistant starch last. Why does this matter? Because when you eat protein and fiber first, they slow down gastric emptying. That means food moves through your stomach more slowly, and glucose gets released into your bloodstream more gradually. It's like putting a controlled release mechanism on your meal. Studies have shown that people who eat vegetables and protein before carbs have significantly lower post-meal glucose spikes, we're talking 30 to 40% lower, compared to people who eat the same foods in the opposite order. So let's walk through what a practical day might look like using these 5 foods and this sequencing strategy. Breakfast. Start with scrambled eggs cooked with a big handful of spinach. Maybe add some sauerkraut on the side if you're feeling adventurous, or a couple spoonfuls of unsweetened Greek yogurt. Protein and greens. First thing in the morning sets you up for stable blood sugar all day. Lunch. Grilled salmon over a bed of mixed greens. Arugula, kale, whatever you like. Add a side of kimchi or fermented pickles. If you want some resistant starch, have a small portion of lentils or chickpeas, but eat them last after you've finished most of your fish and greens. Dinner. Let's say you're having chicken. Start with the chicken and a big serving of sautéed greens, maybe collard greens or Swiss chard. Add some miso soup or a bit of sauerkraut. Then, if you're still hungry, finish with a half cup of black beans or split peas. See how that works? You're hitting all 5 foods, you're eating them in the right order, and you're not depriving yourself or counting every single calorie. You're just being strategic. Why this works. The science behind the strategy. Let me break down what's happening in your body when you use this approach, because understanding the why makes it easier to stick with it. When you eat protein and fiber first, your stomach releases them more slowly into your small intestine. This triggers hormones like GLP-1, which slow digestion even further and tell your pancreas to release insulin in a more controlled way, not in one big surge. The fiber from greens and the omega-3s from fatty fish reduce inflammation, which makes your cells more responsive to insulin. The probiotics from fermented foods improve your gut bacteria, which in turn improves glucose metabolism and reduces insulin resistance. And the resistant starch from legumes feeds those good bacteria while blunting the glucose spike from the meal. It's synergistic. Each piece supports the others, and together they create a powerful effect on your blood sugar and A1C. Real talk. Progress, not perfection. Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you need to eat perfectly 100% of the time. That's not realistic, and it's not sustainable. Life happens. You're going to have meals that don't fit this pattern. You're going to have days where you eat dessert or skip the greens or whatever. That's fine. This isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. If you can follow this approach most of the time, let's say 80 to 90% of your meals, you're going to see real results. Small, consistent wins add up. That's how you lower your A1C without losing your mind. I've had patients who were skeptical at first. They'd been told they needed to eat low-carb or keto or cut out entire food groups. And then they tried this approach, just focusing on these 5 foods and eating them in the right order, and within a month they were seeing changes. Better energy, fewer cravings, more stable blood sugar throughout the day. And then, 6 to 8 weeks later, Their A1C dropped, not by some miracle, but because they made smart, strategic choices consistently. Your action plan. So here's what I want you to do. Pick 1 or 2 of these foods that you're not currently eating regularly and commit to adding them this week. Maybe it's eggs for breakfast every day. Maybe it's fatty fish twice a week. Maybe it's a few spoonfuls of sauerkraut with lunch. Start small, build the habit, then add another food, then start experimenting with meal sequencing. Protein and greens first, starch last. Track how you feel. Notice your energy levels. If you have a glucose monitor, watch how your numbers respond. You'll start to see patterns, and those patterns will motivate you to keep going. Before we wrap up, if this video has been helpful, please hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear this. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that now so you don't miss future videos. Also, and this is important, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let me know. Which of these 5 foods are you already eating, and which one are you going to start adding? Or maybe there's a topic you want me to cover in a future video. Tell me what you want to know about. I do my research, and I'll make a video on it. Your questions drive the content here, so don't be shy. Final thoughts. Your A1C isn't some fixed number that you're stuck with. It's a reflection of your daily choices, and when you make thoughtful, strategic choices with your food, you can start moving that number in the right direction faster than you think. You don't need a complicated diet plan. You don't need expensive supplements or meal replacements. You just need to understand which foods support your blood sugar and how to use them effectively. And now you do. So take this information, put it into action, and watch what happens. Progress over perfection. Consistency over intensity. That's the formula. All right, everyone, that's it for today. I'm Dr. Hubert Wright, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves.